Hello, everyone. Welcome to 10 Minutes Astrology. Once a week, Alejo and I will meet each other here to help you study astrology. Hello, Alejo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, not too bad, not too bad. Just because we are doing the Mars, so usually when I'm recording, I'm a little bit high. I can really feel that energy when every time. For for last
Um,
month when we're doing the Saturn, I'll be like,
Yeah.
Okay, I want to say before we start, I want to make an announcement for the Astrological Association. Our conference is from the end of August, and then is that true, right? I suddenly forget. It's the end of August, 30, what?
It's end of August,
30,
yes.
yeah, 30, 31st, and the 1st September. So if you haven't registered, please come to Astrological Association website to join us because we are going to see each other. We're going to learn astrology together, and we're going to discuss astrology during the lunch, dinner, and coffee time.
Yes, and not only that, if you also come early, there's going to be like a tour to the National
Yeah,
Space Center, which I think is going to be amazing.
going to be amazing. Definitely. So, well, that's going to start our discussion today because today we are going to talk about Mars in Cancer. And just a reminder to our audience, we are focused on how they dealing with failure, frustration, and how they get things done. This is our main purpose of this episode. So, Alejo, could you give us a little bit idea about the Mars in Cancer?
So Mars in Cancer, Cancer is a cardinal sign, it's a water sign, and the image of Cancer is the crab. So Cancer is a very sensitive
Mm.
sign. So Mars in Cancer might be very sensitive. It can easily feel frustrated, I think, or hurt. And when it does, it might not be easy to cope with frustration for a water sign. There
Mm.
might be this sense of, I don't know, feeling a bit gloomy, lost, down, blue, whatever word you want to say. And I think with Cancer, there might be this kind of a retiring motion to hide back because Cancer is a sign that doesn't want to get hurt and it's so sensitive. Of course, nobody wants to get
Mhm.
hurt, but Cancer is so sensitive. So I think there might be this sense when it's frustrated, there might be this drive instead of going forward, it might go inwards. So the person
Ah,
might kind of hide at home, or try not to show that they are hurt, try not to show that they are disappointed or they are dealing with frustration. However, because it's water, water is not so easily contained. So I would say that when they are frustrated, they might kind of try to hide their drive and their anger, but it's possibly not so easy. So it might
mhm.
end up being expressed in ways that are not very direct and that could actually end up being hurtful. What we sometimes call passive aggressive behavior. And it might not always be conscious. I'm not saying people are doing this on purpose. It might not
Mm.
always be conscious. So maybe if there is a sense of frustration, if some drive, some desire, some goal that I had could not happen, and I invested the energy there, then because Mars is in Cancer, it will retract. So I will go to my cave, and when somebody mentions something that to me has an emotional link with the sense of frustration, I might like the crab.
Ooh!
You get the thing is, how do you call these things of the crab?
Suddenly, I forget the words.
Not the claws, because it's not claws, but okay.
Crow,
The
crow, crow, right? Crow, crow,
okay.
crow.
So
Yeah.
it might take it out and attack the person sideways, not
Ah,
confrontingly.
that
But
is very
I will insist that it
interesting.
might not be on purpose. I mean, I insist that it might be something
Mm.
that they do without realizing. There's no intent. There might not be an intention to hurt. It might be something that just
Mm.
happens.
I agree with you because when you describe the action of they're frustrated and then they have a withdraw first and then coming out and then kind of not attack directly. Suddenly the word comes to my mind is that label about what do we say ag-
Passive
aggressive
aggressive.
what yeah,
Passive
passive
aggressive.
aggressive. And it was very interesting because I think that is exactly what I do. But I think you are right. They are not doing it purposely because I think in the beginning they will be just like, that's all right, I can cope. That's okay, I can deal with this. That's all right, I just ignore it. I just go home. I just go home. I'm just have a little bit of chill on my home. And when he back to his house, say, no, I couldn't let go of this. No, how could they do this
Yeah,
to me? I
exactly.
would just rush out and say, you guys, you blah 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 blah. I think that is just the mode changing rather than they do it purposely say, I'm not going to do this now, but I will go to do this later. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's very interesting. So we have to understand this. And I quite like it, but how do they get things done? How do they get what they want? How do they achieve?
Well, actually, in traditional astrology, Mars in Cancer is considered not a very positive position because Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So when it's in
Mm,
Cancer, it's considered to be like in a very bad situation.
in 4 years.
Because
Yes.
Cancer is the opposite of Capricorn. Sorry?
Yeah, in four.
Yes, exactly. So, however, my experience or my understanding by charts that I have seen is that actually, because it's a cardinal sign, there is a lot of drive. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe because it's a water sign, also there are a lot of resources, inner resources, to actually cope with my desires and follow my desires and follow these things that I want to do. So I would say that actually Mars in Cancer is a Mars that can set itself into action, that it might not give up easily or quickly, and that it will, if it's something that they trust, this idea, if it's something that it makes sense for them. And when I say make sense, I'm not saying intellectual sense. I'm talking about
Uh-huh.
like an emotion. This is what I feel is the thing I have to do. I think they will have a lot of energy to do it.
I agree with you. And I think, as you mentioned about traditional astrology, traditional astrologer do consider the triplicity. And Mars is part of the water triplicity's dispositor. So in that way, I ask Sharon Knight, why? Well, because water can cool Mars down. So that is one thing very interesting in the traditional astrology. They don't really see the water sign as emotional. I think they focus on emotion. Yes, emotion and feeling is very important for water sign. But in the traditional astrology, water is calm and laid back. So they have
Mm.
choice. They have choice. They can say, you know what? Let me make my action when I calm, when I not that agitated, maybe would be act better. And I think you are right that the drive, emotional and feeling drive, are really the big, big, dynamic for the Mars in Cancer. Should we look at example today?
Of course, let's look at this example that I love.
Yeah, you love. Okay, tell me.
Because we're looking at the chart of Lionel Messi. We don't say
Yeah,
Lionel because he's Argentinian. It's Lionel
Lionel,
Messi.
Lionel.
Born on the 24th of June 1987 at 8:30 p.m. in Rosario, Argentina. They say the most beautiful people in Argentina are in Rosario. It's a saying
Oh,
in
really?
Argentina. So
I'm
he
going to
is,
see it next time.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I mean, he's a, we don't, he's a sportman, so we're not worried about that. He's an athlete, and he's a sun in Cancer, exactly. And the reason I like this chart is because I have seen other athletes, important athletes with Mars in Cancer. And I think it's interesting what you said about. So the triplicities basically are the four elements. So
Yeah.
in traditional astrology, there's a planet that rules each one of these elements.
Yeah.
So even if Mars is in fall in Cancer, he would have some kind of rulership because it's a water sign.
Mm,
Now,
yeah.
my understanding was that because Mars is cardinal, and if you take the traditional view, because Mars is in fall, these people might feel they need to work with this Mars. They might feel called to work with this Mars. So they
Mm-hmm.
develop this Mars in such a fantastic way. And so
Mm,
we have Messi, who is a fantastic athlete, of course, with a lot of energy, a lot of drive, and also like the idea of Cancer because he is so worried about defending his, not defending, it's not a war, but playing for his
yeah.
country. And he has this sense of prideness of playing for his country. So the idea of belonging, which might be related to Cancer.
Mm. Yeah, it is very interesting because as we know, I think in the beginning of his life, when he was a child, I think his condition about his physical condition wasn't that best
Yeah.
for to be a footballer. But he not give up, and he and his family just try to deal with his problem, and then that is like that is describe why Mars in Cancer in one way, yes, in traditional view, Mars in Cancer is a four, is not the best. Even you can say it's the worst position of the Mars sign. But they also have triplicity. They will get the help, or they will do it in a more like a in the tribe we together with a family or relative and working together. Because also I like one thing about let me turn this chat because I quite like Dr. Bernard Brady talking about the planet in their fall and detriment. He say those people who have the planet in fall and detriment, it's not just totally fucked up. They try to work in another way. And they
Yes.
because they don't want to be failed, they don't want to fail. So they work very, very carefully. And I like that. You work in another way and you try not to make a huge mistake.
So Messi, the problem he had is that he was short. He is short.
Yeah,
And so they thought he would never be able to play very well because
yeah,
he cannot run that much. It's easy for people to catch him up because he doesn't have so
yeah,
long legs. So what he discovered is that first of all, he had to be very quick so
yeah,
that he could compensate for that. And the other thing he discovered is that he had to play with his teams. He couldn't play
yeah,
alone. He couldn't pretend to be the best. I mean, he can not pretend to be the best, but like to be the center star. This idea of
yeah.
the mono player. He realized that he needed to be passing the ball all the time to the other
Uh-huh.
two players because
Yeah.
it's easy for the other team to catch him. So what he developed was this skill in being very quick and being very agile in passing the ball and catching the ball again to make the goals. Yes.
Wow, that is quite interesting. Thank you, Alejo, for sharing this with us. I think that is really describing this Mars in Cancer, and not in the best condition, but he still try to work the best way out up to be a great sportive person. Yeah, I really like this discussion. Well, but next week we move to another sign, Alejo.
So next we go to Leo.
Leo, Mars in
And
Leo.
be
So I'm
ready
very
because Mars in Leo.
Oh, yeah. Why
Burns.
suddenly we all have that? Why we suddenly have all that Mediterranean action out?
Yes.
Okay, well, thanks guys for watching and listening 10 Minutes Astrology. This week we're talking about the Mars in Cancer and with Lionel Messi as an example. Next week we're going to talk about the Mars in Leo. See you next week. Bye bye.